Hi, welcome to Andrea Lake 101. And this podcast is a little bit different than other podcasts. Instead of people coming on and me interviewing them, they come on and they interview me every Friday. And for our first guest interviewer, we have the fabulous, fantastic Miss MeiMei Fox. She is a two-time New York Times bestselling author. She's been an author forever. She also has this whole separate life where she worked at McKinsey. She's a Stanford grad. She's a super smarty pants chick. And she has yourbestsellingbook.com where she teaches people how to write their best-selling book. MeiMei, welcome.
Thank you, Andrea. I'm so delighted to be here.
So happy to have you. So the format of this podcast does work a little bit different. MeiMei is allowed to ask me whatever she wants. And because she is the author of my upcoming book, which is You're Gonna Think I'm a Pathological Liar, she knows the whole ass story. I do not know what her questions are. As a matter of fact, I don't even know what the main subject is. So MeiMei, without further ado, let's go.
Okay, well, I cannot resist because I have a journalism background as well and have spent a decade contributing to Forbes. I have to go with what's top of the news, top headlines today. And anybody who has any awareness, obviously, if you're here watching this, you must know a little bit about Sticker Junkie, Andrea, the founder of Sticker Junkie. There has been a hubbub for months now that is known as hashtag Stickergate. And I would like you to begin by telling people what the heck is Stickergate?
Well, Stickergate, about a month ago, 2 months ago, on July 13th, one of our competitors, arguably the biggest competitor in the space, Sticker Mule, went very hyper-political towards one side on their wall. So they posted in favor of Donald Trump, but it wasn't just that they posted one post allegedly calling to end hate and form unity. It was that they then also texted people who absolutely did not sign up to receive political texts and emailed people who absolutely did not sign up to receive political messaging an email that said Trump 2024 and proceeded to say, hey, Donald Trump was shot at. That is terrible. Nobody thinks it is a good idea to assassinate political people. Everybody, all of the condemnation for that. And then said, people are afraid to show their support for Donald Trump, and we suggest that you start showing your support for Donald Trump. We're running a promotional code where you can get a t-shirt that usually is $19. You can get it for $4 today, and we suggest you do so to show your support for Donald Trump. So a whole lot of people who were having their marriages threatened through potential actions released in Project 2025 or having their rights as a woman threatened by the Project 2025 conservative agenda of Donald Trump and his allies were incredibly upset that they would suggest that they supported a very opposite candidate. Now, let's be fair. Politics in America is divisive. People have forgotten that there is a field of information. We are very polarized. I do not like that. Most people that I know do not like that. I have very good friends who are Democrats. I have very good friends who are Republicans. I personally have different opinions on different subjects and different thoughts on different political issues. I am not a Democrat and I am not a Republican. I'm a true independent voter. And it is sad to me to watch the state of America. So I do understand that sentiment and I agree with that sentiment. I think it is sad. It wasn't just that one post. It was on and on and on. We are winning. Our side is winning. You should start coming out in favor of Donald Trump. We endorse this candidate. We endorse this candidate. We endorse this candidate.
So to be clear, this is a sticker company.
This is a sticker
We are not
company. That is
I just want to be very clear that this is what Sticker Mule does. They're a sticker company. They're your competition. You are Sticker Junkie. They're Sticker Mule. This is a sticker company who has pushed out a text, an email to, and by people, you mean all of their customers. This isn't like their followers who subscribe to, this is customers, paid customers. This has continued. This has been now a consistent motif because I just checked their social media. It's still ongoing. Like there was a post yesterday again.
So there's been more posts this morning. It's September 8th of 2024. And I asked my lawyers, how do I talk about Stickergate? This is a very, very large company. I am not a very, very large company right now. And she said, just the facts, ma'am. The one particular comment where they did not call Kamala Harris by her name, they called her Joe Biden's replacement, who is espousing hoaxes, and I will shoot a video every time she does a hoax. And I was like, that doesn't sound like unity to me. That sounds very divisive to me.
So let's switch gears now and talk
Yes.
about Sticker Junkie
Yes,
and what has happened to you since, was it July 13th that this all Stickergate began?
It was July 13th. I know a lot of people just heard this story on the podcast, so I will not recount the whole podcast, but it has just been like manna from heaven. All of a sudden, I have all these new clients. They are the most fabulous clients. I have gotten tons of distilleries, breweries, universities, colleges, every manner of company that you could imagine who does not want to support a company. Because let me make this very clear. This is the co-founder of the company. This is not on his personal private page. Right now, when you are watching this, this is my personal private page. I have started 14 companies since I was 18 years old. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Andrea Lake. I've started 14 companies since I was 18 years old, including Sticker Junkie, Yoga Junkie, Delinquent Distribution, which owned the exclusive sales rights on the merchandise for Minecraft, World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, The Walking Dead, Power Chick Mafia. I wrote a book called How to Build a T-Shirt Empire with my business partner, Dan Caldwell, who started Tap Out. I have a storied business past. And if you ever want to hear what I think, you can just tack on over to my personal page. And then do you know what? I don't talk about politics a lot there either, because I was raised in the 80s and you could have a different political point of view than your neighbor and y'all still were friends. And I have lots of friends who have lots of different views from me on all sides.
And why do you think that all of these customers were coming to you as a result of Stickergate?
Well, they were telling me that they were incredibly offended, that they didn't want to support a company. And it was the languaging. I will just stick to the facts. Just go to their Twitter and read it yourself. You can go to x.com/stickermule. You can read everything that they are posting and draw your own conclusions. As a matter of fact, if you want to go x.com/stickermule and read all the comments and stitch this for me in a TikTok, you go right ahead.
Love that. And so you had clients coming to you, and how much did you see your growth in Sticker Junkie in the 2 months since Stickergate began?
Just in the first 3 days, it was 1,250% increase.
What?
Yeah. Sustained over time so far. Longer term, in the last 2.5 months, it has gone up 500%. We have entirely stopped marketing because we were just keeping pace with it. We are now back up to speed. We were just about to launch an affiliate program. We put that on pause because, it's hard to scale a company. Luckily, I have done this before, but I can only imagine that other sticker companies, all of whom are thriving off of Stickergate, are experiencing the same things we are. And luckily, I am established and set up to scale. And so this just was the best possible. You couldn't even make this up. You're going to think I'm a pathological liar.
You're going to think I'm a pathological liar. Just at the moment. So let's rewind, because this is the next thing. I just want to thank you for addressing Stickergate. I know it's what everyone's thinking about and talking about. And by the way, I know you're not supposed to say the political things, but I can. So I'm just going to say it for the audience. If you are pro-LGBTQ, if you are pro-women's rights, if you do not believe in just being highly politicized as a company, you should be buying your stickers from Sticker Junkie. It's obvious. Take 5 seconds to go, and you'll see that you will see all the people commenting on your social media, which has also been really heartwarming to me to follow that. All the people saying, hey, I'm so happy that I have a place to go where I can shop and support my values with my dollars. So that's happening. It's happening big time. Love it. I want to rewind. Oh, go ahead. Did you have one more thing you wanted to say about that?
Well, I do. And it's truly that it is astonishing to me that saying that anybody even has to say I am pro-LGBTQ. That's crazy to me. You're okay with people loving who they love. Why is that a political issue? Why? Why are we not fixing the economy? Why are we not all focused on saying, hey, you guys, somebody shouldn't file for bankruptcy if their little kid has cancer, and that's something that we can all agree on. Let's fix that. So it is astonishing to me that that even is a political issue. Another thing that I forgot about with Stickergate, the secondary part of what they did was to make it better. They brought in a comedian and they created passes that look like Monopoly get out of jail free cards that said we should bring back the word retard and we should stop calling each other retards. And if you, I know it's appalling.
Wait, what?
Yeah, go look at their Sticker Mule
What
social
is that
media.
about?
That is a very good question. And I understand that they're trying to be funny and they're like, oh, well, you guys are snowflakes and you're policing language. And I'm like, wow, that sounds really unifying. Kind-hearted and
Again,
compassionate.
yeah.
Unifying. And so it's a whole thing.
Well, it's a whole thing. It has benefited you. It has benefited many, many customers who
Yes.
flocked from Sticker Mule to you. And we're happy to have a place to go have a safe home for our stickers.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I think so. I'm all for it. Let's backtrack. 7, 8, 9 months, is it now? 9 months.
It's actually today is the last day of
Is
year
it a year?
1.
Oh my God.
I know.
It's a year. It's
It
a
is.
year already. Time flies. Okay. I want to rewind 1 year because 1 year ago today was an epic moment in your life. Tell us what happened a year ago.
It was epic in the way that nobody wants something to be epic. I was living in Sedona, Arizona, living my best life, hiking every day, having wine on the deck, drinking some marijuana tea. I was retired, girl, and I found out every bad thing that anybody would want to find out about a company that I had been out of interestingly, for about 14 years. I had left. I had started many, many other projects. I started the Winston House in Venice Beach. I started several different companies along the way during that time that were just sort of side projects. And I was just living my best life. I moved out of LA and I think it was 2016. So I had been in Sedona for 7 or 8 years when I found out that something was amiss and that I needed to go back into my companies and rebuild because I was very suddenly $1.84 million in debt. So
Let's just take a second for that.
Yes.
$1.84 million in debt. How did
Yes.
that feel?
Awesome. It was super fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you do when you saw this shocking number on your finance sheet?
I literally, interesting because I have gone to zero twice before. So I do know, I know how to make money. There is no confusion within me that I can turn this around and go spin up products and make money. I know exactly how to do it. I've done it a bunch of times before. I've started a very lot of companies. I've done $400 million in revenue. It is appalling that I did not have more cash reserves. There are reasons for all that as the story unfolds over the course of the many years that I will be doing this podcast. You will hear all of those reasons and stories for another time. So it was devastating, but I did not waste any time. I just went, the fuck? Girl, you gotta get to work. Girl, you gotta get to work right now. You gotta fucking call every single one of your long-term clients and ask why they are not printing with you anymore. And so I did. So I immediately made an action plan. Immediately.
And let's talk about what that action plan was in concrete terms.
So the plan was, hey, look, I have started 14 companies. I've actually started more than 14 companies. I've started 18 companies. But if I say I've started 18 companies, first of all, I think I sound like an asshole. Secondly, if I say I started 14 companies, the first immediate question that people ask very frequently at like a conference or something is like, what are the companies? And I can never come up with all 18. So I just say 14 because I know that I can cobble together a list of 14 out of the 18. Sorry, what was the question?
I want to know. You're $1.84 million in debt. This
Yes.
is 1 year ago today, everyone.
Yes.
You were like, girl, you got this. You know how to do this.
Yes.
What was your plan?
Well, my plan was I have actually never sold or exited any of my companies. So I own all the rights, all the properties, all the trademarks, all the everything on every single company I've ever owned. And because I was a quant trader, I was trading in Sedona. I just figured, oh, I'm just going to roll everything down and maybe sell off some names or whatever. But I said, what are you doing? Get up, go to San Diego, relaunch all of your companies, build them, sell them, and don't just do one, do two at a time because you're a fucking badass and you have got this and you're going to roll back out delinquent distribution and sticker junkie. And then you're going to share this story as widely as you can on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, YouTube, whatever platform you can. Just tell your story because you're going to inspire a whole generation of entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs through Power Chick Mafia.
So, what was your goal that you set for yourself? What was your big, hairy, audacious goal?
Sorry. I did set a very big, audacious goal. And that was to go from 1.84 million in debt to $1 billion cash positive in 7 years.
Which sounds outrageous. You're going to think I'm a pathological liar because, I mean, what is that even?
Well, $1 billion is so exponentially bigger than most people can think of in terms of dollars. However, it's completely possible. And I'm a quant trader. I'm a quantitative trader. I have a whole system that I wrote. And so there are very few people in the world who know truly, truly how to compound money. And I am one of those people. It's sort of why when my eye was not on the prize, I wasn't that concerned about it because I was trading on a system based on compounding returns. And I just thought, look, we have set up a society in the United States where we have just all agreed that to be a billionaire is a possible thing. If somebody is going to be a billionaire, then it might as well be me. And I would do very different things with the money than some people are doing with the money, and very similar things with the money that other people are doing with the money. Of just solving things that I can solve and having fun and living a fabulous fucking life. Am I going to have a beautiful compound in Boulder? Yes. Am I going to have the most beautiful properties and beautiful homes in places in the world? Yes. And then after all of that is said and done, am I going to have $900 million left to do whatever I want in the areas that I live in? Absolutely yes. And I just thought it would be a super fun way to get a lot of capital in order to go and help solve big problems. So that is the plan.
What big problems do you want to solve?
I
What's
think
that
there's a
end
lot
goal?
of them. I would like to work cohesively with a community to engage all of the members in that community and not just go in and say, I'm going to fix this. Because you can't just go in and fix things. You have to engage the people who actually live there. And even like I was saying before with little kids that have cancer, like their parents shouldn't be facing bankruptcy because they have cancer. You shouldn't be facing bankruptcy if you have cancer. The healthcare costs are completely out of control, and there are lots and lots of root reasons for that that nobody is even trying to resolve. Really, really outsized lawsuit, outsized class action litigation against pharma companies and against hospitals. It all drives up the cost of insurance, which drives up your price. Like it's $50 if you're going to get a Tylenol at the hospital. So you have to address the root causes of it because you can't just reduce the pricing because the outsized lawsuits still exist. It is not that there shouldn't be culpability in it. It's that you can't get a $200 million settlement every time somebody makes an actual legitimate mistake in a hospital and still functionally run a hospital at a cost that people can afford.
So I'm really compelled by this
Thank you.
story because on many levels. One is, this sort of waking up to $1.84 million in debt, which would send most people into a tailspin and some people, frankly, to ending their lives. I mean, like it's very serious, but your confidence in being able to manage that, where does that confidence come from? Like when you kind of say, this is something I knew I could do, why?
Because I've done it before, multiple times.
And how did you learn how to do it before? Like, where did that come from? Did you go to Harvard Business School? What's your story? Tell us a little bit about why you knew how to build businesses.
So I started my first company when I was in high school. I was 17 years old and I learned how to make those toys, rhythm sticks, where you hold one toy in each hand and throw it around. And I made those for several years. And then I heard of someone who is still a friend of mine to this day who was making $1 million a year selling t-shirts. And I was like, that is all the money in the world. I am going to go do that. And it literally was just a system of trial and error because the internet didn't exist. when I was a kid. I started my first company in 1991. I graduated from high school in 1992, and I was going to go to UC Santa Cruz. That was the plan, be a banana slug and get a degree in women's studies with a minor in Central and South American studies. Would you like fries with that? What was I going to do with that degree? But instead, I realized literally I was going to go and apply to colleges, and I had a good enough whatever, so that's when I would have gotten into. And I just thought, wait a minute, I made $70,000 last year when I was 18. Like, I don't need, and it was 1992 at that point, and I don't need a college degree. Most people go to college to learn how to make money, but I already know how to make money, so I'm just going to go do that.
How'd you
And
know how
then
to make money? I mean, how did you even know how to do that? Let's back up even further. I mean, I didn't know, we're Gen X. I'm the same age as you. There was no internet. As you said, you couldn't go and take a YouTube course. You couldn't like follow people on Twitter and get their business tips. I mean, you could get a book, you could go to the bookstore and buy a book, but how did you even know how to start a business?
I didn't, it truly was trial and error and just the next thing. So I had started making these rhythm sticks because I broke somebody's pair that they owned, and I had to make them a new pair before they found out that I broke theirs. So I made 4 pairs, one for myself, one for my friend Kendra, because I broke hers. And then my other friend Tara said, "Hey, I want a pair." And then I made a 4th pair. So I said to Tara, "Well, I'll sell them to you for $15." And I said, well, let me make 4 because then I can sell the other one for $20 and I'll make more than the money back that it cost me to buy the materials. So I bought like whatever, $20 worth of materials. I made $35, and people just immediately were like, well, I want one of those. I said, great, they're $20. So I pre-sold 12 more just to my friend group. And I think it cost me like $30 to make 12 pairs, or $50 to make 12 pairs, whatever it was. And I made like $300. And then I just was like, well, I might as well reinvest that and make 24 pairs. It was so organic. And then I ran into somebody that owned a head shop, and I said, hey, will you buy these for wholesale for like $17.50 and you can sell them for $35, which she did. Then I thought, well, if his store bought them, every store would buy them. So I went to every head shop, tattoo shop, cooler, like clothing store, kite company, toy store in San Diego. And I just walked in and said, is there a buyer here? And I would walk in with these very, very cool toys and say, do you want to buy these? Like, I did not know what I was doing. I just started doing it.
That's incredible. So truly learning by doing and trial and error.
Yes. And then as I moved along and started to catch some traction and started to have success, I kind of knew what I was doing when I started the clothing company. Anti-Establishment Clothing was my first clothing line. I do not own that anymore. And I sold to all the tattoo shops, all the head shops. They were offensive t-shirts. And I would just go in with my little catalog that I made on my computer, that I like printed copies of at Kinko's. It was the worst catalog in the history of existence of ever. And people bought stuff out of it though, immediately. And so immediately within that first year of anti-establishment, I did like, I think it was like 150 grand in sales the first year of anti-establishment, which was like 1997, 98. And then the second year I did $1 million in revenue of fuck you t-shirts when I was like, whatever, 23 or 24.
My gosh.
And
So
I,
amazing.
I still never really thought of myself as an entrepreneur. I just thought, oh, I'm lucky. I know how to do this thing. And then I discovered that it was so much more lucrative to go sell to chain stores. So at that same time, I got into Hot Topic. That was the first chain store I ever got into. That was 27 years ago. I still sell to Hot Topic to this day. And I realized that instead of having very offensive fuck you t-shirts, that it was more lucrative to sell mildly irreverent t-shirts. Like, I used to have superhuman powers, but my therapists took them away. I went down the route of joke t-shirts, and then I started licensing t-shirts from artists so that I would diversify my portfolio, and I started licensing different clothing companies. Then I got the license on High Times magazine, which was a very big deal. And I wrote my own legal contracts. I just did everything. I didn't know how to, I just did. And because I always was very, very straightforward, very transparent in business, I made sure that everybody understood what they were signing on. I just didn't have skirmishes over them because there was such an easygoing into the contract and easygoing out of the contract. Everything went great for a long, long time.
So what, you didn't have a business background. You didn't go to school for this.
Mm-mm.
Did you have parents who knew how to do this?
No. My parents were very entrepreneurial. They ended up becoming a real estate team among themselves. My dad was a submarine sailor. My mom was a computer scientist. They always encouraged me to be an entrepreneur, but no, I did find mentors. And I found one mentor when I was about 24, but I had already made my first $1 million by the point that I had my first mentor. So I met someone early on who owned a clothing company called Justin, who is still a friend of mine to this day, who kind of helped me figure out some of the ins and outs of t-shirt companies. But I really would just find one supplier and ask them what to do next. At first, it was very scrappy. People now would call me a hustler, but it just felt like I don't have a plan B. If I do not go figure this out, I will fail. Like, again, would you like coffee with that? I would have ended up waiting tables. I didn't have an education. So that was a huge motivator for me to just go figure it out. And I did just go figure it out. And then I found a mentor who is a multi-billionaire when I was about 24. But again, this is after I made my first million, and he was one of the most successful traders in the world. And he gave me a whole curriculum. He gave me a list of 14 books and said, hey, go read these 14 books. And then when I came back to him, he asked me a series of questions, which I would have to take all of the information from all of the different books on negotiation, psychology, business, trading, global economics, law, and I would have to tie the concepts from the books together to come up with an answer that was the answer to whatever it was he was asking. And he said, that's what I thought. You actually do know how to think, and most people do not. And so I'm going to teach you. It's going to seem like I'm teaching you about law or medicine or psychology, whatever individual subject, but I'm not. I'm teaching you how to take very big ideas and draw your own conclusions when you hear information. And most people are just receiving information. These are his words. These are not my words. Most people are just receiving information, and I'm going to teach you how to think, and it is a lost art.
And so critical right now, today, in today's world, for all the reasons we just discussed at the beginning when we were talking about what's going on politically, learning how to think and how to interpret information. What is your, let's offer up some advice to people who are listening. What would you say from those early days were some of your key lessons that you'd want to impart, since you're all about empowering, especially women like me who are like, oh, we're smart, but we haven't fucking clue what to do with our finances. Help me, please. What is your advice?
I think that for entrepreneurship in general, the advice is just keep going. Just keep going. You're going to hit roadblock after roadblock. Things are going to come up, especially if you set a big goal. Right? I have a big goal right now. It is to make $1 billion in 7 years. That is an astronomical amount of money. And so there are two things that are going to get me there. Number one, only have people surrounding me who are with me and who are sprinting with me. Number two, just keep going. Stuff is going to come up, period. Just keep going. Keep your eyes on the prize and just keep going no matter what.
These people who you worked with early on when you were just like this, 17-year-old, like from San Diego, or even a little bit later when you're 21, whatever, do you have any guidance on who you worked with, who you wouldn't work with?
Very strict no assholes policy. And then I still have that to this day. If someone, it doesn't matter if they're a client or an employee or a vendor, it just doesn't matter. I just don't work with people who are not fun to work with, to the extent that I can help it. That was really hard when I came back into Sticker Junkie, because we had to take every single order. And I just don't. That's number one. And then,
wait, so when you mean no assholes policy, you even mean for clients and customers, like
yeah,
paid
absolutely.
customers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If somebody is really, really difficult as a customer, that doesn't get better. So if somebody is incredibly demanding.
Give us an example.
Okay, so you can have fast and you can have good and you can have cheap. And right now we are incredibly, incredibly competitively priced. But there is a thing, like you can only have two of the three. And so we are fast and we are good. And we will raise our pricing a little, not crazy out of range. But there's a lot of people out there that you can get like 1,000 stickers for $89, and then they'll jump down your throat when you're not paying your employees well. Well, do you know what? You can't pay your employees well if you do 1,000 stickers for $89. Also, if you're getting some big smoking deal where you have someone like me who only exclusively produces the best quality product. That is all that we make. It's not going to fade. It's not going to tear off your car. The laminate's not going to peel up. It's not a paper mix vinyl. It's actually vinyl. Most stickers, they look good when you get them. How did they look in 6 months or a year? So if you're getting one of those smoking hot deals and you give them out to your clients, there's going to be the shape of the sticker that you want, and all the ink is going to be worn off in a year or two because they're not made for outdoor use. So you really only can get fast, good, cheap. You only get 2 of the 3. So choose wisely.
I love that. That is such solid business advice. And since this has come back to sticker junkie, I'd like to come back to that. Wanted to hear a bit about like how you knew what the fuck you were doing and how you could be like, no, I'm going to go from 1.84 million in debt to 1 billion. So what was next up after you like evaluated finance? You said, I'm going to relaunch these 14 businesses. What were your actual concrete next steps after that?
The very first thing that I did was I fired every single person associated with that business.
What?
Yes, all the contractors, all the vendors, all the employees, every single person in that company cared about that company as much as I did, which was not at all. I hadn't paid any attention to it in a decade. That is my fault. But there was a lot of wrongdoing going on in that company. But even the ancillary contract firms that I had contracted with, they were not good. The only thing that was good was the quality of the stickers, because I always insisted that we use very good, very high quality materials, which we did. And I had very high quality machinery, but everything else, nothing was being done properly. And so I let go of every part of that and hired on new vendors, new contractors, new employees. But for the first 3 months, that was just me and Brianna. So the second thing that I did was convince my best friend, Brianna, to come in and run the business with me as our COO, which is not a role she loves. So she has stepped down from COO, and now she is just the fun ambassador over at Sticker Junkie now, which is awesome. She makes sure the clients are happy. She makes sure the people there are happy. And she is about to roll out her own project called Magic Penny, which will be one of the next 2 companies that we release.
Awesome. Give us some examples of what was going on for you to be in debt and not paying attention in a neglected company. What does that look like? I mean, I'm sure there's lots of people who have no idea what that looks like.
It really just looked like me not paying attention. I mean, everything was being done in the most profoundly inefficient way. And I have always known how to do every single piece of every single part of every company I've ever owned, except for actually printing stickers. I've owned so many different companies. And sort of the only things that I haven't known how to do is actually code. I do not know how to do advanced coding. And I did not previously, prior to now, know how to print and operate printing equipment and machinery. So I thought it was much more difficult than it was. And when things were being done in a profoundly inefficient way, I did not realize that because I did not know how to use the equipment. So
what is that? Give us an example. Yeah.
Yes. One of the very first things that I did was actually learn how to use printing equipment.
Okay. And so things were being done in an inefficient way in terms of the printing. What else was going on? I just want to give some people tips on like your business is not being run well. Here are some signs.
Well, yes. The biggest thing that was going on truly is I wasn't here, because if I was here, I would have seen it straight from the beginning. But there was a misunderstanding of the person that was in here completely eliminated our rush order system. So he did not fulfill rush orders anymore. He just would say, no, we cannot do that. So as a result, if somebody really did need a rush order, if they really did need their stickers in 2 days, then that person would go somewhere else. That other place would make them very happy. And they would, from that point forward, buy from a different vendor. So it was nothing like huge. It was all things that were just not good business decisions, one after another, and it was a lot of them. And that was one of them.
But we all get to benefit from your wisdom and watching you along on this journey. So we're grateful. There's an upside for you coming out of retirement and not just making money in Sedona, but sharing all your wisdom, dropping this knowledge. So what would you say, like from standing here where you are right now in this moment? What is looking good to you? What is feeling good? And what are some things that are concerning you?
Okay, so right where I am in this moment, I am looking down the barrel of fast scale, fast. So a normal progression of a business, and I have spoken about this at length. I've spoken about this at length even at Harvard. the first year that you're in business, you're good to go if you make 100,000 to 150,000. This a traditional product company. The second year, your target is to make 1 million. The third year, your target is to make 4 million. The fourth year, 7 to 10. The fifth year, 30 to 40. The sixth year, anything over 100. The seventh year, 300 to 400 million. And then the last final year would be the $1 billion year. If you have a company that is capable of becoming a $1 billion company, that would be a growth trajectory. So that was the target for me combined among all these companies. And then I'll sell off different companies at different points. I'll put more money back into my trading portfolio as I sell these companies off, or as there's a lot of profit in the different companies. And that was the plan. So my plan between July 7th, because I'm like, well, let's just start on 7/7. I'm a numbers gal. So 7/7/2024 until 7/7/2025, the original goal was to hit 4 million in revenue. Well, that's no longer the goal. The goal now is to hit at least 10 million in revenue, which allows me to skip another whole year. That's like a whole year, because then it'll be like the goal is anywhere from 10 to 30 the next year. And then I have a really big goal, the year after that, to go all the way from wherever I hit between 10 and 30 up to 100 million. And that's a huge goal. But I think it's like Tony Robbins that said, set a goal that's so big for yourself that if you get 10% of the way there, you'll be happy. Now, I will not be happy with 10% of the way there, but I am a fan of very big goals.
Awesome. So you're feeling good about that.
Yeah.
You're feeling
Yes,
like
yes,
that's
yes.
achievable.
Yes, because I'm stacking the decks in my favor. I am hiring the right team, and anybody that doesn't fit in my team, anybody that slows my team down, they are gone. They cannot last. And it doesn't mean I dislike them. I only hire people that I like. But if somebody starts to take too much of my time and effort and attention, or is not malleable and cannot run as quickly as I am going to run, especially if they're causing my time and attention to be spent in a way that is non-productive, then they simply cannot be on my team.
So you are 1 year from waking up
Yes.
to this realization and making the choice to come back into Sticker Junkie and read it. How many employees do you have? And what's your revenue at today, 1 year from where you started, or whatever numbers you're willing to share?
Yes, of course. Yes. No. I'm being very transparent with my numbers. So, well, we have 16 employees today, and we did 154,000 in revenue last month, in August. And those are tiny, tiny numbers. Like Sticker Meal's not afraid of me. They're like, go on with your bad self. That's like 2 million a year. We good. They're not even going to notice that. They don't need to be scared of me for another year or two. Yeah. But I'll tell you one thing, MeiMei. I wouldn't want to compete against me. And I haven't been here since 2012. I barely have been here since 2010. So we'll see you. I'm looking. I know how much money is in stickers. It is a multiple $billion industry, and most people did not
And
realize this.
no, you have been here since 1992. Hello. So there's that too. Making money like a badass.
There is that. I just haven't been in Sticker Junkie. And now I'm
But
like,
in
now
Sticker
I'm in
Junkie.
Sticker Junkie. Now I'm looking
Yeah.
all around at
Yeah.
all the different ways. And the one thing that I always promise my clients on any company is just come with me. You will never be treated better by any company than you will be treated by me. And am I going to share my political views on my personal page? Sure. Am I ever going to do that on my corporation's page? Never. No. I've owned 14 companies. And I liked what Michael Jordan said when he was interviewed on 60 Minutes years and years ago. They said, well, you're a very well-known Democrat. Why don't you come out and say that you are super just in favor of the Democrats? And he said, I guess Republicans buy shoes too. And I am not a Democrat, nor am I a Republican. Am I going to vote for President Grab Me by the what? No, ma'am, I am not. I am thrilled as the founder of Power Chick Mafia to vote for Kamala Harris. I am not a Democrat. And I am thrilled to vote for her over Donald Trump, but I do not hate Donald Trump. I know Donald Trump personally as a former contestant on The Apprentice, and I do not hate him, and I do not hate his followers. I
I think
don't.
that's a conversation. Stay tuned, everyone, because you're going to have so much fun in the podcast that goes into The Apprentice and Donald Trump and Andrea. You're going to think I'm a pathological liar. insane experience on that show. I'll just drop a little teaser there. Is there anything that's concerning you or scaring you right now about the future that lies ahead for you?
I think that the biggest concern, honestly, is that I am a very private person, which sounds crazy because I just talked about how I was on a television show, but I was on a TV show in 2006 and I was this much famous, a little teeny tiny little bit famous. If you're listening on audio only, I am holding my fingers an inch away from each other. And I was like, I do not like this.
And if you are under, I don't even know, 40, you don't understand the level to which, like, you could be on TV, but there wasn't Twitter, social media. There wasn't this constant conversation, right, Andrea? I mean, like, the constant conversation now that happens.
Yes, and
So,
there was not access for these keyboard warriors who sit and type mean comments all day. There weren't bots that look like human beings that type angry, infuriated messages all day on comments. There wasn't this level of meanness that exists. And also the level of fame that you would instantly receive from being on television because there were three networks, one, two, three. So you had
that's
three
right.
choices of shows to watch. Then it extended to that where there was like 70 channels, but out of the 70, only like 10 of them were popular. And so immediately you were ubiquitously famous. You didn't segment down to where now there's an influencer for every single niche category, which is so much cooler. But everybody knew who you were immediately back in the day. So I think that my biggest concern is just maintaining fun and lightheartedness and happiness if people do come after me, because there undoubtedly are people who will not hear my words and who will be like, oh, well, she just hates Trump and that's why, and she's jealous and she's sad and she's. I'm like, I'll tell you what, let me buy that guy a beer. This couldn't have worked out better for me. I don't hate anyone. I have plenty of friends who are voting for Donald Trump. I have plenty of friends who are voting for Kamala Harris. And I just don't hate anyone. So I am concerned about the hatred that's going to be directed towards me just in general online for being a public figure again. But it comes with the territory, and I am a Gen Xer. So saying words on a screen, that is not the same. Girl, we had to insult people in person. And then we would
Exactly,
hear
to their
back.
face.
And if they were smarter and more clever and witty than us, they would burn us bad in the comments. And you would have to sit there and take that. And you'd be like, oh shit, I didn't realize you were so funny.
So you're prepared for that. I mean, and it's coming for you, and you know it is. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Is there anything in terms of the business that you're worried about or achieving this audacious, ridiculous $1 billion goal?
Well, again, even it goes back to the social media because I really have always said that privacy is the best thing that money could buy. So if I had this goal and I was very private and I did not hit it, no one would know.
Exactly.
Now you're going to see me set goals month on month on month because we need to hit a 22% compounding return from where we are right now every single month to hit the goal and have 2 months where it's higher and still hit our 10 million next year goal. So month on month, I'm going to set a goal, and there is no way that we're going to hit every single goal that I ever set. And so if that embarrassed me in some way, then that would be concerning. But I'm just like, set a goal so big for yourself that if you get half of the way there, let's say, you're going to be really happy. And in this case, let's say I set $1 billion goal and I get 10% of the way there and make $100 million. Am I going to be sad? I will just wipe the tears with the dollars. No, I am not going to be sad, but I'm going to get to where I'm going. Mark Cuban actually said something very funny on the Trevor Noah podcast. He was just like, people are lying if they say that they can become billionaires. Like, so much of it is luck and so much of it is this and so much of it is that. And I'll tell you what, I'm the luckiest person you're ever going to meet. How lucky is it that my biggest competitor came out so hardcore political on one side? It's a divided nation. If he came
At
out
the
hard,
exact moment when you were prepared to leap on that opportunity. I mean, and your life story is filled, filled with examples of that. It's like chance favors the prepared mind.
Yes.
You have been right there, ready at the moment when something was it seemingly delivered to you on a silver platter, but it was partly your own effort and your own doing. And it was partly some luck, like you had, like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I am the luckiest person I know. No argument there. However, Mark also had a caveat in what he was saying on the Trevor Noah podcast. He said, except for those people who run the hedge funds and nobody knows who they are. And that is true. And two of those people who run those hedge funds, two separate people at two different funds, were two of my mentors. And so I do know how to compound money. And so my guess is, and you'll see if I don't, you'll see if I'm wrong, you'll see if my premise is incorrect, and then I will not hit the $1 million goal in 7 years.
and not only will you see, but you will learn alongside me and the rest of the Power Chick Mafia from Andrea. So also, we thank you, because I know part of your coming out publicly with this is not purely self-serving, just in the way that I think so many people assume. If you're going hard on social media, it's to make more money for yourself. Obviously, it's to get more sales, get more clients, right? But your goal with this is really to also educate and inform and bring people along with you. And so when you fail, like, you're showing us failure and how you handle it. That's actually as valuable as your success in terms of the people who are learning from you. But I mean that authentically. I mean, for sure. Like, how often do you see that? How often do you see that portrayed anywhere except maybe in a, Hollywood movie or a Lifetime special?
Right. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, because that is my whole goal with this whole thing is complete transparency. Like, we're going to have so many shit moments. Like, we bought this huge new piece of equipment and machinery, and it cost us $200,000, and it broke, or we don't know how to use it, or it doesn't do what we thought. It doesn't matter what that thing is. We negotiated some new lease on some huge warehouse space, and now it's not going to work, or whatever the roadblock is, because it is lunacy to think that it is not going to come up. And then how do you handle that? How do you turn it around? How do you, like, even when I do have to release different relationships with different people, my goal is to never leave them bad. How do you actually do that? How do you come up with money when you have no money? What kind of deals do you structure when you have destroyed your credit because you are $1.84 million in debt? And now all of a sudden I have to solve the problems of a $20 million company while I'm only making $2 million annual revenue at this point. That's fucking hard. How do you do that? Well, I'm going to show you in real time. This is what we did. This is how we negotiated this deal. Vendor doesn't want to sell to us direct. They want to make us buy through distributors. So this is how we corrected that issue. It doesn't really matter what it is. And while this is starting out as like a 90-minute weekly podcast twice a week, it's going to morph slowly as I can afford cameras into a full TV show. And we'll be releasing more and more and more content so people can see, no, this is how it's actually done. Do you know what I did? Do you know what I actually did? I moved into a fucking warehouse for a year. I slept on a couch that is right behind me. Do you know what I get to do next week? Move into the most beautiful building in San Diego, the most beautiful one. But I couldn't afford to do that when I first moved here. That's right. As a matter of fact, let's give our audience a little sneak.
Let's look, because you literally lived there. Like, when you say I lived at the warehouse, most people mean that in the sense of, like, I lived there, like I spent 18 hours a day there and then I went home, brushed my teeth, and crashed. No, you literally lived there.
That's right. So if you're watching us on YouTube, I am flipping my computer around right now so that you can see my pull-out couch that's right here in the Sticker Junkie office.
There's a pull-out couch.
To be fair, we don't have to live here. We have a house by the beach in San Diego, my friend's house. I have a room in that house, and it literally was 25 minutes away from the office, and that was too far to drive, to lose 50 minutes a day driving. And if we got caught in traffic an hour a day, I, for the last year, have worked 24 hours a day. That is untrue. I have worked 18 hours a day, 16 hours a day, 14 hours a day. If I was awake and not like taking a shower or taking my dog for a walk, I have been working, period. And most of the time when I was on the dog walks, I was making business calls. I felt like I was cheating myself. I felt guilty if I took 3 hours off in a day. There is no stop of that. That is one thing I truly admire about Elon Musk, is that he pulled back the curtain. He's like, are you fucking kidding me? I live at the office. Literally, I actually literally live at the office because I have to turn this company around. When he took over Twitter, and I was like, I get it. That is what you got to do.
I mean, you were washing your hair in the sink, correct?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
mean, you didn't even have a bathroom with a
There's no
shower in
here.
it.
There's no shower here. And again, like, I go to hot yoga. I have a place I can take a shower. I can go to my friend Forrest and Jay's house. I can take a shower there. I can sleep there. I have a room there because legally, like, I do have another place to live, but I never leave here because that's what it takes. And so I used to say over and over and over and over to myself in the last year, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you want to do. It doesn't matter if you're tired. Just keep going. Just get this finished. Just get this finished. You're not going to remember this. This time is going to pass anyway. I had to go, and I took a meeting with a friend of mine, Jeremy, in Venice Beach, and I had like the worst migraine. Oh, I had a meeting with MeiMei that day in Venice
Rena
Beach.
too, yeah.
Right. I had the worst migraine that day, MeiMei, the worst, and I wasn't
I didn't even
talking
know.
about.
What? You didn't even tell me. I had no idea.
I wanted to cancel because it was hard for me to be in the sun, and we sat outside at Cafe Gratitude. And then I took a walk around the block with Jeremy, and nothing was knocking out this migraine. And I finally told him right before I left, I'm like, I have the worst migraine right now. He's like, are you serious? And I said, yeah, I really wanted to cancel. And he was like, why didn't you cancel? And I said, because it doesn't matter. I'm not going to remember in a week from now that I had a migraine right here, and look at how much I got done today. I took a meeting with Hot Topic. I drove out and had a meeting with MeiMei, and then I had a meeting with my friend Jeremy, and then I went and met MeiMei again after that. Drove all the way back to San Diego. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter if you don't want to do it. It doesn't matter if you have some big mountain to climb. Just take one step at a time. That's how you get to the top of Everest. Just keep going. Just keep going. You're fine. You're fine. You have more resources than you know.
You have more resources than you know.
You do.
So this is such a good place for me to wrap this first hour interview. I have to say, you guys have, like, I've already learned so much, and I'm sure you're learning so much from a business perspective, a life perspective, setting goals, achieving your goals. This is something that every single one of us out there wants and needs in our life, but you're going to get it like authentic, straight shooting from Andrea, like just no bullshit, which is why the title of the memoir is You're Going to Think I'm a Pathological Liar, because she's the exact opposite. It's just all real. And I can't even wait to hear the rest of your story. There's so much more. I already dropped the hint on The Apprentice, but also, I mean, there's a whole conversation I cannot wait to have with you about your spirituality and how that fits in with this idea of luck and hard work and manifestation and goal setting, because I think that that's really profound and so much more. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Well, thank you. And guys, I'm telling you, I am not getting paid to say this. I'm telling you this because it is true. MeiMei is a New York Times bestselling author, and she knows how to write a best-selling book. So please, if you are writing a book, go check out yourbestsellingbook.com, because MeiMei can help you learn how to craft your story and have a book that is compelling, that people want to read, and that sells. MeiMei, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank
And
you,
wait,
Andrea.
where can people follow you?
Yeah, well, it's writeyourbestsellingbook.com, and MeiMei Fox, which is not spelled the way it sounds, but hopefully you'll be seeing it written somewhere. I'm everywhere as MeiMei Fox. I'm the only one. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Yeah, easy to find.
Perfect. So that is
Thanks.
at MeiMei, MEIEI, Fox, FOX, on all platforms. Everywhere.
Love.
All right.
Look forward to seeing you.
Okay, we'll look forward to seeing you guys next time on